In the high-stakes theatre of 1944, the front lines of France were a place where reality was often the first casualty. But while thousands of soldiers fought with steel and gunpowder, a small, clandestine unit was waging a different kind of war. They didn't use bullets, they used imagination. This was the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, the Ghost Army, a 1,000-man troop of artists, architects, and actors tasked with the most audacious mission of the war, to build a phantom army capable of fooling the greatest military power on Earth. The mission was built on the cold logic of psychological warfare. To trick the German High Command, the 23rd knew they couldn't just build props. They had to curate an entire world. They understood the psychology of the scout, the need for the enemy to discover their own intelligence. They deployed inflatable Sherman tanks that were high fidelity enough to pass a quick glance, but they went further. They used bulldozers to carve fake tread marks into the mud, staged campfires to suggest human warmth, and even hung dummy laundry on lines to simulate the mundane reality of a bivouac division. It wasn't about perfection, it was about the art of the believable mistake. But sight was only the first layer of the deception. When the sun dipped below the horizon and the cover of darkness descended, the stage show began. The unit had mastered the soundscape of war. They mounted 500-pound theater speakers onto the backs of heavy trucks and blasted high-fidelity wire recordings of armored columns, the rhythmic clanking of tank treads, the roaring of engines, and the indistinguishable shouting of sergeants. This synthetic thunder carried for up to 15 miles, creating a wall of sound that convinced German commanders they were standing before an entire mechanized force, idling in the dark. And if the Germans turned to their radios to verify what their eyes and ears were telling them, the Ghost Army was already there. Each telegraph operator has a unique, rhythmic fist, the distinct way they tap out Morse code. The 23rd's radio technicians studied the patterns of real Allied operators, meticulously mimicking their cadence and temperament. They weren't just sending messages, they were impersonating real human beings, ensuring the Germans heard exactly what the Allies wanted them to hear. The true test of their craft arrived in March 1945. The Rhine River stood as a brutal, blood-soaked barrier, the final gateway into the heart of Germany. To cross it was a death sentence, unless the Allies could find a way to divert the German panzer divisions. The Ghost Army was given the call. They deployed every inflatable in their inventory, flooding the landscape with the spectral silhouettes of armor. For weeks, they kept the German High Command in a state of orchestrated panic, feeding them sound, signals, and shadows. The deception worked with devastating precision. The Germans took the bait, shifting their heavy armor to confront a phantom force that existed only in their own intelligence reports. As the panzers dug in to fight a ghost, the real Allied forces moved in miles away, crossing the Rhine with almost no resistance. It was a masterpiece of misdirection, a maneuver that saved thousands of lives, yet it was a victory the men could never claim. For 50 years, the truth remained under lock and key. The men of the 23rd returned home as painters, fashion designers, and architects, their service hidden behind a veil of national security. Their families lived their lives unaware that their fathers and brothers had been the greatest con artists in history. Today, we know them as the men who turned the chaos of war into a grand, life-saving stage production. They left us with a haunting final truth, that on the battlefield, the most powerful weapon isn't always the one that explodes. Sometimes, the most lethal force is simply the one that makes you believe in something that isn't there.